Welcome to episode 72 of Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Eddie. Joining me this week, a man who's getting incredibly good at adding a small round token to his player mat, and then later on, removing said token to do amazing, mind-blowing magic tricks on his malnourished, metal-singing Savas lead singer, Gaz. Say hi, Gaz.
Hi guys. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at the tokens. That's the main mechanic of the class. I see why it's high complexity.
You're getting a real handle on. I mean, well, it's a dexterity game.
Yeah,
Those
Well-
tokens are tiny, by the way. I'm surprised we've still got them all.
yeah, I know they are tiny, and we do keep good care of them. But no, like the hard part of that character is remembering at the end of your turn that you're supposed to put one of the little tokens on, like because you have your turn, and then
Yeah.
you go, "Well, I'm done, right?" Because I finished my turn.
Did you figure that at all?
I forget it all the time.
Oh, no,
I usually remember before my next turn, and it's very easy to fix because you just move a token across.
Sometimes the easiest things in life are the hardest, though.
Hardest to remember, but easiest to fix. Yeah. It's I don't have to go, whoa. Can you please undo your turn? I should have had this token over here.
Has it been that token moving part? Is it as exciting as the other, like, with your tide cards and other weird stuff you've done in the past, like putting your pets out and organizing the order of those, and then telling us about 3 rounds into it that we actually summoned one of the pets that we need to now add to Xhaven, things like that. Is this easier, or is this harder?
Yeah, it's look, I have to say it's definitely like the most mind numbing of a mechanic, like from that perspective, right? Like in comparison, it's not hard at all. In fact, I feel like you could just not do it and it's fine. So the interaction with the game is fun, but the moving the cardboard piece backwards and forwards, no, not fun.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say is when we were at like 70, 71, which I like, that seems like I was like, whoa, like we're almost at 100, and there was 72. I'm like, oh, like that doesn't feel like it. I feel like that we suddenly feel like we've got ages to go now. Like it's like, well, 70 is almost 100, and 72, that's still like almost 30 away. That's ages. So.
You literally just messed with my head a little bit just then, because I was like, yeah, 70. Oh, we are close to 100. Oh, no, you are right. We are far away. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, 70 is like, whoa, like I can't believe we did 70 episodes. It's like, oh, but yeah, still got ages. So, I mean, will we even, maybe we might, what happens if we finish Frosthaven before we get to 100? Do we just do like the anime and just do filler episodes where we just kind of do a big charge up of a fireball like Goku?
Look, we could probably waste a few weeks.
Like 3 anime genres there, so I'm probably going to get hate about that. But like, you get what I mean.
We could probably just attempt a scenario at like the highest difficulty, fail it throughout the night, record the episode about how terrible. That will extend the podcast, like, well beyond 100 if we just still do what we do, but just badly.
What is the max difficulty? I don't even know how difficult
7,
works.
I believe.
11?
7, I believe.
You can't turn it up to 11?
I don't know how you would, unless you literally, because the monster's stat card goes up to 7, and then after that, you could probably just do a ×2 for level 8. Something stupid like that. Go into nightmare mode, torment difficulty.
Yeah, realistic mode. So Dwarf, can we get rules? I want to play with 6 players, and I want the monsters at level 11.
Yeah. And we want challenges, but inspired by Gloomhaven, not Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Love it. So Dirt Sheet. I would like to apologize a little bit for last week. We didn't get the episode out because my computer had a shit fit. And look, it's still doing it now. So I'm really praying for no crashing. But hopefully this week, I mean, look, in a way, this is actually really cool because everyone gets 2 episodes this week.
Yeah.
It's like double amDirt.
And I'm going to say that if there's anything weird you hear on the episode, any weird editing, it's because Daddy's had to like restitch it back together like a patchwork. If we say anything stupid, it's also the editing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course.
And if you don't laugh at our jokes, it's also it's Daddy's computer. It's just not filtering them through properly.
I will be considering adding a laugh track to
our stuff.
Yeah, I think that'll
so
really
people know when, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I told a joke in the car today with the kids and my partner, and it like I don't even think I had the punchline had landed for 1 second before my daughter was just said something completely random that had nothing to do with it and asked a question. So literally just humoring me, listening to me talk, and then just went on with it, got on with their lives. So yeah,
Is
it's a
that is
tough
that
crowd.
is that a goal?
A goal, what, to be
Yeah.
ignored by your family? No,
Oh,
it's
maybe
not.
not that
Mate,
much, but
it's an achievement I get daily, but it's not a goal.
but it's a dad joke, right?
Yeah, but you're supposed to get groans. Like,
Oh, you didn't even get
oh,
that. You
that.
didn't
No,
get
I didn't
that.
even get that. I just got like, my cat's breath smells like cat food type response. Like,
That sounds like worse than crickets, right?
yes, because it means that they were just waiting for you to finish so they could say their other random
Which
thing
was
that
probably
made
more
no sense.
important. Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, on today's episode, we'll be discussing scenario 132, Temple of Feline Power. And then we're going to have a little chat. Actually, we're going to do that probably earlier. Is retirement something to look forward to? So, off to scenario 132, Gaz. But first, we need to do a road event.
Yes.
We did
And
road
I
event.
remember the road event this time.
Oh, how could you not? Road event, winter road event, 32.
This road event caused me so much pain.
Yeah, look.
And it was the kind of like a conduit for my frustration.
Like a paint. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And
doing it. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
my cat's breath smells like cat food.
Yeah, just Daddy, release the shackles and explain the road event.
So, Shackles came back, much to everyone's surprise. It was pretty cool. We had Fortella running again, so it was really cool to hear that coming through. It was
Except she was a bitch. I don't remember her being so mean.
The thing is, I think it's in her tone. I don't think she's a bitch. I think that like she just comes across energetically bitchy.
No, her actions were bitchy. I'm fine with her voice.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Well, during the actual thing, we couldn't actually tell whether or not she was, and I was to say as a child, a goodie or a baddie, right? And the lack of detail was kind of important for understanding what exactly was going on. But then I remembered, I know a place where I can find out what actually happened. So, scenario 123, the Titan, from dwarfs previously on Frosthaven. So you met your old companion on the road, carving runes into the air. It said there was a massive creature so full of pain and suffering coming closer to their portal. The conduit worked some magics to bring that beast to them so they could feast on it. You weren't really down. I like how he adds this kind of stuff. You weren't really down, but they didn't give you much choice. When they finished creating a portal, an unbelievably titanic beast bore down upon you. The being turned out to be the source of the pain. However, it was the world it had come through, and now it was in yours. Time to stop it. So, apparently, I still don't know if she's good or bad.
No. That's maybe Dwarf needs to add that into all the characters. He needs to add an alignment scale. So Dwarf, on your previously on, you need to have them either somewhere on the D&D scale, chaotic to lawful, good to evil.
I keep seeing that and I don't really understand what it means. I'm not about to go into it now, but is that something that we could, not we, because I probably can't unless I fully just blindly pick. Is there something that can be done with the characters and some of the main NPCs and things like that in the game of Frosthaven?
100%. I mean, the alignments basically mean nothing in D&D either, so why not, right? Like,
I didn't know they meant nothing. Oh, okay.
Oh, I think some people think that they mean something. But, I'm offending a lot of people. Basically, just everyone there because I said they both mean nothing and don't mean anything. And I mean heaps. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 2 for 2 so far this episode.
But I didn't get why. Like, why did we randomly Okay, hang on. Let me go back a step. That didn't explain what happened when she left.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't plan for remembering what happened when she left. No, previously was what caused us to get this scenario. Because long story short, and I haven't actually said it yet, this winter road event gave us a scenario, which was this new Titan that had just spawned into our world and saw Frosthaven and was all like, oh, that looks like a fun place to party. And then we were like, whoa. And we had to now do this scenario now.
Yeah. which was cool. Right, like that's cool. We talked about this with a couple of others. I mean, okay, so the in a vacuum, this is cool.
Oh
In
yeah.
our what we were trying to achieve by doing the scenario we were trying to do, it was kind of a bit weird. But I feel like going back to dwarfs previously on, he should have in there
Gone back
the
further to the shackle retiring. What happened there?
gone back further. You can't just go back to the actual scenario. Like that's if we are doing this scenario, you've literally just pulled this event. If you don't know why you're there, just read the card that you're still holding. like, like I get that, but it should go back to her retirement speech.
That's a good
Like
point.
when
That's actually a very good point because yeah, I don't really remember what happened there.
I don't know if whether retirement was just like, oh hey, well I've hung out with you guys for long enough. It turns out none of you are giant robots from another dimension, so can tick that one off. I'm gonna go look over there and see if that robot's over there. And then we went over there, which we didn't know where there was, and she's like, we got this portal. There's a giant robot coming through. I found it, and we're like, okay. And then weirdly enough, she was a bitch to us and was like, get in there. And we're like, you left us. Like, what are you doing? Like we're already going somewhere. You didn't want to join us.
Yeah.
And now you're sucking us into your stupid, like, I don't know.
So another thing on that is that whenever like Bone Shaper gave us a scenario for retirement, but it was kind of like a go do it, I think. Right. Because okay, we need a previously on Frosthaven retirement thing. Right. Because when they pop up, I don't know. We know the scenario, but I haven't read that entry yet for whichever one the Bone Shaper scenario thing is. The fact that the Titan is right here, right now, it's a giant mech machine, whatever. It's giant Krang, right? And he's heading towards Frosthaven. Why is the Shackles not helping us? It's not like he sent us somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, they sent us somewhere. They didn't send us somewhere and go, hey, I need you to go and retrieve a bunch of like eggs or something like that. They're right there and they're going, oh, look at this thing. I'm just going to watch. I find that annoying.
Yeah, it is. It's very annoying and unthematic. Even Ormy joined us. Oh, Mark just switched off.
Oh, right. All right. They just tuned Mark out.
Just tuned off.
Mark doesn't like Ormy talk.
Like exactly. Where was she? She was just like, oh, now the robot's here. And then we're like, oh, I guess we'll go save the day. Lucky we weren't doing anything already when you forced us into this quest, lady.
Yeah. So this brings me to one of the topics of today, which is this was from the Shackles retirement. And I want to have a little bit of a look back. I want to have a little bit, because we have had little chats here and we've made, lol comments about the Drifter and his hair and all that kind of stuff. Is retirement something to look forward to, right? You play a character for ages, then you eventually retire them. And it's very cool that a game system lets them come back in some capacity. Gloomhaven did this. I think they were all through events. I'm not, because there was no section or campaign book or anything like that. So let's just break this down a little bit. So the Drifter gave us a section event, all right, which got resolved in 4 weeks, to which he returned to teach us how to make something. And it made us, in our campaign, he made it, and Iron and Wine's campaign, and probably a lot of other people, made us a shovel. And that was cool. This kind of set the tone for all of the exciting possibilities of characters coming back. Am I wrong?
100% right.
Yeah, and it was funny. I mean, it was like kind of like, oh, he came back and gave us a shovel. Look, it's probably not that exciting. It's pretty thematic. It adds a nice story to our campaign.
Yeah, the way it was framed as well, because he comes back and his voice is kind of like this, I don't know, really cool outlaw-y dude who's just like, obviously, as you know, I make my own weapons, right? And you're like, oh, wow, we're going to get this really sweet ass weapon. And he's like, yeah, let me go help you tinkerers. And then come back and you get a shovel. It's like, okay.
You get the blueprint on how to make a shovel.
Yeah, we're like, well, you know what? This is why we didn't have any holes. This is why we only built up at Frosthaven. We couldn't build down because we couldn't dig, but now we can. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was very exciting. We got an item out of it. It was our first retirement. He came back really quick as well, I feel like that
4
came
weeks.
around. So so great. It did set the bar. It set the bar, and you don't know whether it was high or low because it was the only bar, right? Like it's a bar on a scale of we're not sure.
100%.
But it was a case of like, oh, okay, characters are going to come back and they're going to do something, right? Like we're going to gain something out of it because that's cool. And maybe it's random. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So then the Geminate retired, gave us a section event for 4 weeks, same as the Drifter, 4 weeks. And they were the second one. This is in order of our retirements. And then they returned to then give us Into the Forests, which was a sticker which we had already. Now, we got that from, I think, another road event. And the thing is, we're a little harsh on this with our in-jokes and discussing it, right? Because, oh, wow, he came back and gave us absolutely nothing because we already had it. But that sticker is really important for some of the, I think, Thord Wood, like heading into the forest, right? For some of the key scenarios that you need to do to progress the campaign. So if you hadn't got that event, it's almost like you need, well, as far as I know, I don't know how many ways there are to get this sticker, but then you need to actually get it from this, from the Geminate retiring. I'm starting to wonder whether or not it was actually a reward for finishing a particular scenario, the actual sticker.
I think it was an event. I feel like it was an event, yeah. But yeah, well, I'm surprised now if it's really important to get how everyone gets it, considering it seems like everyone in the Frosthaven community, other than me, hates the Geminate, and so most of them wouldn't play it, right?
Yeah.
Or do they just insta-retire it when they get to level 2 and they're like, no, this is shit, just like everyone said, I'm going to retire it now.
Yeah, because you can't use inspiration to retire a character. You can just retire a PQ, right?
PQ, yeah. So anyway, yeah, look, it was lackluster, and I feel like this is one of those cases where there should have been an ore.
An ore would have been good.
A random item. We can get a fucking shovel again. Like, you got to give yourself 2 chances to get that shovel.
Shovelhaven.
Yeah.
Deathwalker came back and gave us a section event to be placed, and this was a bit more specific, at the second week of the next summer. When we finally resolved that, do you remember what we got?
Morale?
Yes.
Oh, was it really?
Yes, that's right. But not just one. We got 2.
We got 2 because I had absolutely no idea. So I had no memory of it at all, which means it must have been the most bland reward ever, which is morale.
At what point in our campaign were you starting to go, oh, okay, maybe these aren't that amazing? Nah, maybe
the Geminate.
Oh, okay.
Well, because as soon as we got that and we got, that nothing, that sucks. I was like, okay, well, we now have a bar and we have a scale. You can get nothing, right? Or you can get something cool.
Yeah.
So now I had this feeling that some of them were going to be shit.
Yeah.
And then we got morale. And I don't think our bucket was overly full then, or I didn't realize how full it was. Right, I was like, oh, it's leaking a little bit. That's fine. We're just overfilled slightly. That's fine. This won't happen very often.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like, oh my god, the Deathwalker's gone. Oh my god, our morale is at an all-time low. If only something would just come and raise it just slightly. Yeah. Just a quick heads up to listeners. I will be covering pretty much all of our retirements right now as part of this discussion. So there will be like potential spoilers for certain characters. So just be mindful of that. Obviously, I'll announce which class as I'm getting into it. Skip forward 30 seconds or something like that. I don't know how long our conversations
are. For a listener who's on episode 72 is like, what? The Drifter retires. What's going on?
But we've already made the shovel. What could he possibly give us?
Yeah, what's he going to bring now? Also, just on that, please let us know, by the way, if he also brought you a shovel.
Yeah, I would like to. You know what? I think that'll be such a cool poll, like a community poll. Stick it on Reddit. Just say when the Drifter came back, what are the available options? And I just want to see how much further ahead Shovel is to everything else. So the Bone Shaper gave us a section event to be resolved in 6 weeks post-retirement, which led to a scenario we haven't actually done yet, scenario 118.
We can't rate that.
No. If you would like us to do scenario 118, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We need a studio audience, guys.
We do.
Back to that laugh track. Yeah. If we get a studio audience, we do it.
Wake the kids up and be like, hey, just come in here sleepy and just say, hell yeah. I mean, look, on the rule of cool, this is really good because the potential is unlimited. This could be the best scenario in Frosthaven.
It's true. And that's why when it's a scenario, it's exciting. I think.
When it's anything, it's exciting. Anything. When it's a retirement, it's exciting. And then it gets worse the more you find out about what happens.
Maybe the morale system could be changed into a morale deck, kind of like an AMD. You gain or lose this much morale and then flip it over. And I don't know, it makes it somewhat interesting. I have no idea.
Or maybe we need player morale as well. So, but you assess that. So when things happen, you might gain 2 morale, but that's actually -5 player morale.
That's amazing. That's literally like, I don't know, there's RPGs where it's like, that one individual that saw you do that liked that. Everyone else didn't like that. And it's got different names. Yeah, it'd be cool if
Yeah.
people, yeah, we need to
Like
design a
breaking down
game.
the fourth wall of like dungeon crawly like legacy games.
But would that be linked to the player or the character?
Player. It's a
Yeah.
player scale.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay. Maybe there needs two
Yeah.
different scales, player and character. Yeah, okay. Media. Media gave us a section event to return in the 5th week of next summer. So we went from 4-week events to now weird ones. Media did come back. Phil played the media. The media did come back and insulted us, I believe. Stole a boat. And what do we get from the media, Gaz?
Ooh. Stole a boat, that's right. I'm gonna say resources?
It's kind of a resource.
Morale?
No.
Inspiration?
Yeah. Gave us 3 inspiration.
Wait, inspiration's not the good one, is it? No, that's prosperity.
Prosperity is
Yeah,
the really good
inspiration's
one.
shit.
Look,
Inspiration is potentially worse than morale.
for 4 people, yes. I think for 4 people, absolutely, because you can't get it consistently. You just get it randomly during rewards and all that kind of stuff, or an event, or yeah. But then
Well, they can't
we
you just
retire
spend
so
inspiration to
much.
get shit? You can just spend it, right? Like you can
I
just
think
spend
so,
it to get
yeah.
resources. Yeah, okay.
I don't even know where we're up to. By the way, I would be very curious on everyone's campaign sheets. We'll have to get everyone to post them when they're done in the thing to see whether or not they have as many rub out permanent, like ours looks messed up just because
Yeah.
of how many times they have to erase and do that kind of stuff. We're on 8 inspiration, guys. So we are close to doing absolutely nothing with it.
Do we need 15?
Yeah, but there's no PQs to really
Oh,
get anything for. So
we're saving it up for nothing.
that's right.
Cool.
Coral. Coral gave us a boat event.
Oh,
And when it showed up during our Fish King scenarios, I mean, this was interesting. So a Bailey attacked us, and then he came out of nowhere. It was actually quite cinematic, and started fighting them, whilst at the same time, using currents and all that to push us away. Basically saying, "Go, I got this." And if we left, there was no effect, and we'll never know the outcome if the coral survived or anything like that, right? We have no idea. It's just you leave the coral and he's fighting the Bailey, and that's, does it ever get resolved? It might. I don't see how, but it might get resolved. We can't shut that down just yet. Or we go back for him, and us returning to help him apparently causes a distraction, which then gives the Bailey the upper hand in the fight against the coral. So it's looking a bit grim. Then we come in and we kind of help, and we finally beat them off. And then the coral telepathically advises us that they're disappointed with us, which is 100% worse than just telling us. To telepathically tell us how disappointed, like it's almost like a look, but then you hear it in your head. And I think if that's the one we did, we start the next scenario wounded.
Yeah, okay.
This had the opportunity to be the most epic return, I think, especially when we were reading the beginning of it.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, out of all of them, this was the first one that was a deck event, right? Because it was a boat event.
Yes.
So it was. I remember thinking we're never going to see it because we were doing like very few boat events. We did a lot of the lurker quest chain with not him or something. I don't know. Anyway, we weren't drawing a lot of boat events. So I was like, I don't think we're ever going to see this. And then when it finally did come up, I was like, yes, okay, this is it. Because that was my boy. I love the crab, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was terrible. Like, if there was a scale where, what did I put at the bottom? Oh, the Geminate, right? Of nothing. Okay. This was below nothing. Not because it gave us a negative, because it asked and built up so much and then did nothing. Like the Geminate at least technically gave you something. You just already had it, right? It's like when someone gives you a present and you're like, oh, I've already got one of them and this is not something I need 2 of. Fine, I guess. Like you had the right intention.
Yeah.
You thought of a good thing. I already bought the thing. It must be good because I already had one, right? Like
Mm.
you were just a bit late. That's the Gemini rocking up with a gift. Like, hey, here you go. Here's this Lego spaceship Lego, and you're like, oh, cool. I love Lego. I already got the spaceship, but all right, I'll
You
have
can
two, I
even have two
guess.
spaceships. If you came in with an oven or something or a stove, like you got to install that, and you don't need two of those.
That's true. That's true. It's like giving you a toaster, and you're like, I don't really need a new toast, but sure, whatever. Like, whatever. Yeah, this is fine. Good. Like, toast is good, but like the crab, the coral. What is this shit? Like
So
to make. Look, I hope there's something else coming up. Like, I hope there's an event or something else coming up. Going, if you already disappointed the coral, then something else cool happens.
I think the next one's probably the bit where I said no, there's no hope, and the rest of these are garbage and they're going to be crap.
Did they not think anyone was going to retire them?
Ah.
Or do they like,
suppose
you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it as a boat event that no one's ever going to see. So no one will know that we didn't put anything in.
I don't know. It's hard to say. They probably did have a reason behind it, and they can't just give out OP items or anything like that. We'll cover that towards the end when towards the end of this bit when I ask you about certain thoughts.
They can't give out OP items. Our pinnacle, as in the highest, the one so far out of all of the ones we experienced, it was the highest. The best outcome was a shovel. So it's not like the standard was set of OP items. Like, we got to turn this back a little bit, right? The best thing we got was a random item that happened to be a shovel,
I feel like that's the only
which
item
could have
we
been
got.
terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to shit on the designers because they've done an amazing job with everything. I was just, this one was a miss, I think, from a disappointment.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
he says as he continues to shit on the designers.
I'm not shitting on the designers at all. I'm talking about experience, like the hits and misses, right?
Yeah.
Don't do this again, please.
So then, after an incredibly long time, the Snowflake retired. And
oh yeah, that was like the Never-Ending Story 3.
She said she'd return at the 9th week of the next summer, which I believe we were on the 10th week of the previous summer. So it was like a whole year, basically, of when she came back. In fact, we forgot she existed. She came back with a care package with mountains of freshly baked morale. She came back with 3.
3 morale?
Yeah, in a basket.
Mm.
And it was at that point, and I'm like, you know what? These mean nothing. These are officially crap.
And she poured her basket of morale into our overflowing bucket of morale, and then it all fell on the floor. And it was like, okay, right? It's like someone coming to your house and bringing you a bunch of cupcakes, and they're just tipping them on the floor and going like, I brought you cupcakes.
Yeah.
Well, did you really? I don't think you did, because you just threw them away. Like,
different houses have different etiquette. Like, that may be polite where they come from. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah.
Shackles we just covered. This is what leading us to today's scenario. Blinkblade added an event to our Outpost deck. We have not seen it yet.
Oh, haven't we? That could be the best ever.
Yes, a lot of these could be the best ever, Gaz. Right? That's literally the whole
bar
thing we're
isn't
talking
high
about.
for it to be the best ever. That's the thing, though.
Like a lawnmower would be good, because that would be slightly better than a shovel, right?
A shovel, yeah.
The Banner Spear. Do you remember what the Banner Spear gave us?
Does she come back?
Yeah.
Oh. No?
She gave us a plus 20 card to add to the Town Guard deck.
That's what that card was that we drew the other day. And I was like, what's that symbol?
Where'd this come from?
Shouldn't it be a banner?
I don't know. Maybe there's something else then.
Yeah.
There's a mysterious card in our town deck that we have no idea what happened.
I mean, so that's okay. I mean, it is.
It's better than 6 of the previous things that we've just talked about.
Yeah, I guess.
No, it is. Like,
it's more functional than those are, but I don't think it's any better.
She looked at our bucket and was like, "Oh, you don't need that. Do you need some more like guards posted? How about I hang around and just help you with your defense? Makes way more sense."
Like, I like thematically, that's cool, and the card is interesting. I wish it was a better card though, not just a plus 20. Like, it was a, I don't know, plus 20 game 1 morale.
Then we had the Fists. They gave us a section event for 10 weeks. We haven't seen it yet because the Fists.
Oh.
Well, Mark hasn't played 10 weeks worth of Kelp yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
but I'm sure it's shit, whatever it is. And the drill basically copied the fist. And we'll see them after 10 weeks. And funnily enough, on the same day as the fist return, because I'm pretty sure they retired in the same session.
Oh, really? We're just getting both at the same time. Okay.
Yeah.
Or at least we get to compare them like
That is
completely.
a good
like,
point. That
yeah.
is a very
So
good
which
point.
10-week, time gate was the best?
It's that weird thing where two friends rock up with the same present, but one is like the model up. So it's like, here, I got you 2 morale. And the drill's like, I got you 3 morale. I'm just kind of like, well, thanks. We didn't want either, but
Yeah, they're both just going in the bin, but whatever.
Finally, Prism's retirement, which was tragic, and it gave us a road event, so we haven't seen it yet. But it's early days, so it's probably going to be shit and sad.
I think it's going to be sad as well. That's what I was going to say. We're going to find it and be sad.
Maybe I was going to say maybe it'll finally be a negative one, but
a negative one. Well, they're all negative, aren't they? To our excitement and enjoyment of the game.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Overall thoughts?
I love retirements. I think they're great.
Yeah. Okay. The novelty's
I don't think
off.
that they have hit the. Okay, this is weird, right? And I don't want to go too far into this, and it is digging up a kind of stuff we've talked about. The problem is because I know this is controversial. Getting a building when you retire a character is very seldom exciting, right? There have been buildings that have been interesting, but most of the part it's not. Now, that's my opinion, okay? And I know everyone has different opinion on that. The fact that when the character comes back, you also get nothing, it just seems like there's just this whole part that's just a big miss of like a really cool experience. Like, we've just finished a few scenarios where I just went on and on and on about how it felt like the characters were so in depth and alive and you connected with them and they were really cool and I want to know more about them, right? I feel like there's that possibility or that same thing you could do with these characters, except that you got to see them for 10 to 15 weeks of playing, right? Or scenarios. And I just think that even storyline, it's not memorable. Like if you'd quizzed me actually, and you did on some of those, but just said without telling me what happened here, what happened here, what happened, I reckon I got 1 or 2, right? Because there's just not memorable returns unless it was ridiculously terrible, and then we're like, oh god, I remember that happening.
Yeah, it's like I think it's from more effort went into the story because the characters, they have a backstory or something on the back of their player mats, and then the rest is you're playing the character. They don't have any dialogue, they don't have anything to say, they don't have any story or anything like that, and then boom, retirement. So I think it's literally there to sort of give you a little bit of extra character flavor with no intention of giving you back anything like that's going to change the game too much. Right? With the exception, see, this is where I think that with the Shackles and also the Bone Shaper, so far, and there could be others that do this, we haven't seen their events. Oh god, the ones that are actually card events, they could also be like, lol, here's a scenario, do it now.
Oh, that's true, because we didn't know the Shackles was, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think the scenario ones are cool. I'm all good for that.
Oh, then saying that, the Blink Blade one will come back and then he'll just show us how to do a scenario. So we'll be like, you stand here and I'll finish the scenario for you. And then we'll be like, oh, that one was fine, I guess.
As long as we don't have to do the admin. If he does the admin, it's fine.
No, we have to do that admin.
I mean, yeah, it's that dungeon thing where your level 100 mates pulling you through a level 2 dungeon and, your job is to pick up all the loot, basically. That's what that would be like. I like the blueprint thing, which is what happened with the Drifter. I wouldn't mind if there were a couple more in there, like just because it is random, so it's not consistent. I have an idea.
Ooh, I love ideas, and daddy ideas are the best.
It's a daddy idea. So, what if once the character is retired, each one gave us a whistle or a horn, like a war horn, or something like that. And that's represented by a card, like a pet, right? But the difference is you don't know what it does. Or you could make it so that you do know what it does. It's completely up to you. I prefer a don't know what it does. All right. So it's a face down one, and on the back of it has the Drifter symbol or whatever. And it's a once off ability that you can use during a scenario. So when things are looking really bad, you blow the whistle. Everyone agrees. You blow the whistle. And then the character comes flying in on a rope, right? It has to be a rope or something, like a Tarzan kind of thing. Hell, I mean, even Fortello could record like a really generic line. So if you're in the middle of some swamp or you're in another dimension, it works either way. So they need to do a Fortello line, right? And then he does something really random. So like has to be predetermined things. So in other words, you blow the thing, the drifter comes flying in, he necks like a normal mob and just kills a normal mob, or stuns an elite, or drops 2 loot tokens, or something like that. That way you kind of get that moment of, oh my God, you know, here he comes. You know, he's back and all of that kind of stuff. You get some slight little advantage, but you can only use it once per campaign. What do you think of that?
Okay. Once per campaign, that's big, right? And you're saying that you wouldn't know what they do before you
My
flip them,
preference
right?
would be that.
Your preference is. So running with that preference, I love this idea. Like, I think it's great, and I definitely think it's something that would be exciting. Do you not run into the same problem that you'd flip the card over during your scenario and it could just be wow, like
100%.
we've had the drifter flies in and kills a monster, and then the Geminate flies in and drops 2 loot, and you're like, oh, okay.
What's the problem with that?
Well, I'm just using the comparison of like, we had Drifter do really cool stuff, and then we had Gemini do basically nothing.
It's a good point. You probably will, or there could be a little hint on the back, like when the time is right and you're about to die, blow this whistle.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you feel like your pockets are empty, blow this whistle or something like that.
I do like the idea of a deck like the pet deck that you would slowly build up over time to give you a thing that you can bring on scenario. So not once per campaign, but like an actual, you can pick one to bring, and they've given you almost like an item that they give you, but it's almost like a party item. So the banner spear could be a banner, right? The prism could be a robot thing. The drifter could be a shovel, right? Like whatever you want, but something that is just, you can only bring one, and you choose it at the start. And it's like a party buff that might have a one use per scenario, or it could do something lasting. I don't know. You could flesh that out. But I like that idea, because then it's kind of like you slowly build it up, right? And you'd unlock a new one. You'd be like, oh, that's really cool. So yeah, something like I like that idea that you've had, like giving you a unique thing that is tied to that character. And in a sense, when you want to use it, it would be almost feel like that character's coming back to do something.
Yeah, it's
right?
literally just trying to keep the characters somewhat relevant and bringing them back, because other than that, you know, they kind of just disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, it's way better.
Wait, you hear that, everyone? Way better.
Yeah. So look, it's I think all in all, it's just been disappointing. That's the problem.
I agree with you.
And not bad. Like, not that I'm angry and upset. It's just disappointed. Yeah.
It's, if they kept it consistent, and here's a snippet, probably not from the card, but more from the section book, or sorry, they are section book ones. Only some of them make it to an event card. I was going to say, they kind of are doing a bit of story. There's a bit of story there and all of that. I was going to say, just come back and tell us a nice story about what happens to live happily ever after or whatever, but they kind of already doing that, and then they're slapping on the 3 morale. And I think it's that last tag of, here's your reward, and we're like, what? If none of them gave us a reward, we'd probably be a little bit more accepting, right?
That's a really good point, actually. If they were all just come back to a story thing, then I think that it would be, it'd still be disappointing, but I think they'd all be disappointing.
Equally disappointing.
Yeah, that's right. Like, you can't, like, again, you can't have them all be boring, and then one person's like, I'm going to top this, and I'm going to bring something cool to the party. Oh, it's like, we told you not to bring anything, right? He's like, oh, I had to bring something, and everyone else feels bad.
We had a $10 limit.
What was that?
We had a $10 limit.
Yeah, exactly. We had a $10 limit. We're doing KK, and you had to come in and bring the $100 gift, right? Because you just had to be better than everyone else. That's what you'd end up with.
So we did have to do 123. Now, this is annoying for 2 reasons. One of them is we had already had 132 set up. So that was annoying having to put that away.
Which is really confusing actually now because I thought you messed up the number then, but you didn't. But because it's 123 and 132, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 123 is the Titan,
Yes.
and 132 is the feline temple thing,
Temple of Feline
which we
something,
wanted
something.
to do for
Yes.
reasons that we are trying to get Deddy retired, or not
Yes.
get him retired, but get towards it. And we
Progress.
also need to do other things in the other one, which I won't say.
Yeah.
But then we got sidetracked from both of them.
Yep. It's annoying because we literally put it in our Discord. Like, we are looking for a scenario that can tick both of these boxes. And, you know, everyone helped us with our next scenario choice. And then
there's so random things that we need to do as well. Like, they're very specific monsters.
Yeah.
Right. And then we actually found this combination of scenarios that we can do that we haven't done. And they're there. We're like, wow, we've just opened this up. This is great. And they're like, nah, go over there.
Yeah. No. A random shackles appears and yoinks us straight into a Titan. So.
And it was super effective.
Super effective. The Titan. This was designed by Justin Jacobson. Now, Justin is the owner and president of Restoration Games. They are a company that he founded that kind of take old IPs and old games that came out when we were kids and they restore them, basically, and then reproduce them. So they're like new artwork, maybe some updated mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So they did things like Downforce, Stop Thief, Fireball Island, Return to Dark Tower, etc. So it's pretty cool. That's what
Never heard of any of them. Are they games that we played when we were kids?
Some people
Like
may have played.
Kids, or like as in like kids for people who are like 15 now?
I think they're games that came out in the 80s and 90s, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 90s. I'm not too sure. I have played Downforce, which I do like. I think it's a great card game. Card game that's a racing game. And Fireball Island, I have played with Calvin. That was it reminds me a little bit of Mousetrap. But
I love Mousetrap.
Cool.
We got
that.
Dash got that for his birthday.
Actually, Return to Dark Tower from memory. I think Isaac Childress worked on it, a component of it, or co-designed it, or something.
What, the
which is
OG
actually
version?
pretty cool. No, the updated one.
Okay.
Yeah. So the scenario goal: the scenario is complete when the power core is dead. At the end of that round, we read a thing. Scenario effect. Because of the choice that we made that made us do this scenario, we also got poisoned. So we start the scenario with poison. And then as a scenario effect, everyone also gains disarm. Now, is it all Gazes that gain disarm?
No, Gaz doesn't.
Oh, you got the perk. So now no one gets scenario effects ever again.
Yep.
How exciting. Monster combinations. We had Ancient Artillery, we had Algox Snow Speaker, and we had Ice Wraith. This is according to the scenario key. First room setup is a V-shaped tile, 2 Ancient Artillery and a door, and some obstacles kind of scattered around. And it was at this point it was giving me serious Furious Factory vibes, which is the laser one we did a couple weeks back.
Well, I think that's what Mark said. He's like, I got flashbacks of being like on this tile set with those obstacles, the long pipe one and the cannons.
Watching Phil get blasted by the lasers.
Yeah, lasered, yeah.
Special rules. Now, hexes are either stable or unstable. For a hex to be considered stable, it just needs at least one wall or obstacle directly below it, because there's 2 hexes below each hex. So this is a weird one where it has to be orientated one way. At the end of each round, non-flying figures that aren't on a stable hex fall, moving 1 hex down until they enter a stable hex. They then suffer damage equal to the scenario level, which for us was 3. If they are unable to occupy a safe hex due to figures blocking its path, they stop falling, and all figures that are occupying the lower 2 hexes will suffer the same falling damage. Monsters treat all non-stable hexes as negative hexes when ending their movement. Ancient Artillery are immune to force movement, including falling, kind of like they're like turrets, like coming out of the walls. Kind of like the ones in, that trench, Star Wars. You know, the big cannon things?
Trench in Star Wars. Yeah, the
like
Death
that.
Star.
Yeah.
In the trench run.
The artillery are kind of like the Death Star. Thanks, guys. That's exactly how I was wording it.
Yeah, that space movie with the lasers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts around just the whole falling mechanism and the stable and unstable and all that kind of stuff? These special rules.
Yeah, no, it seemed really cool. It seemed a lot of fun, a little twist a little puzzle to solve with your movement while still trying to get where you're going. So yeah,
Yeah.
it seems cool.
It's got platformer vibes. Was
Yeah,
definitely something that they somehow turned this into a 2D platformer, which was like I couldn't even imagine anyone coming up with that idea. But yeah, they found a way, and I think that's the part that's still surprising me very pleasantly to this day. Is a lot of the scenarios we've done lately have felt very like innovative. They've got the same components they're working with. It's just the cool, crazy stuff. Like that purple box can just completely transform the feeling of a scenario. Which is
I
very
think we've
cool.
been lucky with the ones we've done lately because there've been some really out there designs without being bad. Like because we've talked about the complexity and how that can make things weird. You're right. They've just taken what you've got in the box and done something weird with it.
Yeah, very weird. Challenge cards, we had budget rations. Whenever any character rests, they gain curse. So it's, I mean, whatever. I think I was immune to it, so it's fine. Pets. Now, guys, we had a new system again. We've revised the system that we then revised a couple of weeks back. Only took like
No,
yeah,
we haven't revised it again, have we?
yeah, you have. Yeah, you were drafting it at one stage, and now you are removing the pets that were with us last week and putting them in a separate pool.
Oh yeah,
So that this way we can't get Weedy every week.
yeah, correct. You can't come with us every time, mate. Like just rack off for a bit, right?
So this week we had Dwarf 74 on the use, which is create a 123 or hex 123 hex obstacle on the revealed map, and Lunacy the Hound. So characters add +1 to all their melee attacks targeting enemies adjacent to any of their characters' allies this round. Spoiler alert, we did not use Lunacy. But I've only just realized that it's +1 to all their melee attacks targeting enemies adjacent. Sorry, +1 to all their melee attacks is what I'm saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's busted as. Yeah. Please refer to our previous episode as to why that's busted.
Yep. So
Cool. Good. We'll just hide that one.
yeah, that's a certain snippy snip. I would love that.
With the pets, actually, I think what we'll do, we've got 2 more left to get through before we've done like the whole cycle. I think the next cycle through, we're going to do the same thing, but we're only going to put them into the used pile that can't be kind of picked if we did use them.
I like that.
Because that way they kind of stay in there. And also it just incentivizes us slightly to not use it for the sake of using it at the end of the scenario. Like we can actually go like, well, hang on, this is a good one. Like if we've got, I don't know, the Forest Imp one. Who's that? Stu? Yeah, we've got Stu, right? And we don't really need the healing. We'd be like, no, let's save Stu. We don't want to lose Stu.
Yeah. That's funny you should say that. Next amDirt chats coming up soon-ish is with a certain Forest Imp.
Hey, look out. We're getting through all the imps now.
Yeah, we're going back to America. Our party for this scenario is Deddy on a level 7 Astral, Gaz on a level, I think you leveled up to 3 for this, or did you do 2?
3.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was level 3. I had level 2 and level 3 cards.
Yeah, but with level 4 health.
Yes, correct. Yeah, level 4 health, but level 2 and 3 cards. I also only have level 2 and 3 perks. So I'm still not giving myself just unlimited, even though there are perks that I want, right? I'm still not just giving myself unlimited perks. So.
And Mark is on a level, I believe, 7 Kelp.
Are you 7 already on the Astral? I suppose the last chain of ones we did, we just got so much XP from.
We did. We got a bunch. Like it was like
you
20 and then
you
30.
At the start of that.
Yeah,
right?
no,
So,
we got heaps. Kaz, did you make any changes to your deck for this particular scenario?
I think so. So I mean, it's probably worth saying that we set up for the previous scenario that we thought we were doing, including picking our cards, because we usually. It's funny, right? Because we usually set up and read it out, pick our cards, and we're like, oh, that's right, we forgot to do a road event. Okay, let's see what random status effect we're going to start this one with. And you were like, oh, hang on, I probably should read the road event. And that was really important that you remembered to do that then.
Well, the scenario that we were meant to do, also key thing, the scenario goal was to escape.
Yeah.
So we had built our decks for that scenario. right?
Yep.
Like I
Which still
literally,
kind of worked in this. I think I kept most of the same cards because I think there was a couple of movement cards that I kept in there for that reason,
just
knowing
quickly
we had to move.
on
Yeah.
your what did you pick for level 2? Was it the one that gives shields, or was
I
it
don't know
the
what
look
are
at
the
the monster
options.
ability deck?
Yeah, it's the ranged attack. Yeah, the ranged
Yeah,
attack monster ability deck. Yeah,
yeah,
but it's like with Pierce.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
one. I was curious about those two, and then I think in our unboxing we both kind of shat on the level 3 ones. Do you remember which level 3? One of them. Oh, you did the blessed
No, I
one,
got the blessed
100%.
one.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
level 4. Level 4 is the weird one that there
Oh, is it?
isn't really something super exciting
Oh,
for what
okay.
I want to do. It so
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So yes, I went in with I literally, okay, every time we do a scenario, and I'm setting it up and I've worked out, what the special rules are and all of that, I kind of go through my deck building phase. I have never changed my deck as often as I have on this character. I don't know if that's something that other people have done, but I have definitely found with the Astral, just due to the way the infusions work and
Mm.
how different they kind of feel. And maybe it's just the way I'm playing it as opposed to just going DPS. I mean, that may be a little bit easier and a bit more consistent, but trying to play a little bit more utility based. Every single scenario that we do, I'm sitting there going, okay, cool, I've got 11 cards, and I'm literally going through the whole thing. It takes me a good 5-10 minutes to settle on a deck for the scenario. And I chose cards that were going to be really good with the escape scenario that we were supposed to be doing. Things like, move, jump, and more HP, and not take Cassandra the Claymore, and not a lot of attacks. It's just more things like disarm and all that kind of stuff. And then, we went to this particular one instead, and I was like, I cannot be asked changing my cards. So I'm sure I can make this work. That was a bit rough. And also, according to the scenario key, there are ice rates in here. And I was like, oh, I need ice rates. I want to bring my axe. I either bring the axe or I bring my Horn of Command and the Condition Shield. And I was like, no, this is an axe one. I can make some progress on my PQ. This is going to be exciting. I'm gonna
Yep.
equip it and I'm gonna farm some ice rates, guys.
Yep. Yep.
Section.
Again, if you would like to hear my thoughts on this PQ, please refer to the previous episode.
Section links. There are 4 doors. When they open, we read the relevant section. So, guys, what is, at least, what should be, or no, what is the strategy here?
I mean, climb up, don't fall down, kill monsters, right?
Pretty much.
We go through we had the 2 cannons in the first room, which were pretty easy to deal with. Like, they're not particularly hard as long as you like don't get immobilized by them. The pushing can be interesting because then they can make you fall down.
Yeah.
That can go down. The next room. Are you happy for me to go through the other rooms?
Yeah. I just
Generally?
want to add very quickly. The other thing is, because we don't have Phil, we're running with the 3 of us, and I don't do a crazy amount of damage. I'm utility. I'm not 100% sure like what you're doing at the moment, but it seems like a little bit of everything. You're still filling it out.
Mm.
So there's a lot of dependence on Mark.
Yeah.
And just saying, but also at the same time, I went into this scenario thinking, you know what, he's just going to destroy everything. And at least the least thing we can do is, bless and brittle and soak up a bit of the damage, etc. And funnily enough, in that first room, he didn't do anything.
No, because they had a battle goal, right? Had a battle
prepper.
goal that basically said do nothing.
Don't attack for the first 3 rounds. So
Yep.
as much as that first room should have really been a cakewalk, it was you and I dealing with the ancient artillery.
Yeah.
Insanely slowly.
It's slowly, but we did all right. Like, I feel like we did fine.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't take heaps of damage. No one got really messed up. We just kind of plodded along and killed them. But look, that was it. Like, I think that the whole thing was basically move along, move slowly, get in a position, hit things, right? And that's kind of how it played out for at least the first half of it.
Yeah.
I mean, in the second room, we had are they snow speakers? Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Who have a lot of push and pull mechanics, or maybe it's all push, but they've got a lot of movement things and a lot of things that mess you up. So I think that room became a little bit harder because there was, getting to the right positions and not being pushed out of position. We also had a bit of an issue with trying to get the focus right because Mark's usually invisible. I'm not. I don't want to get hit for 6. You do because you're kind of tanking, so it was trying to get you in the right position so that you were closer, but then people were getting pushed and moved, and it was all kind of like I won't say messy, but it was like there was a little bit of stuff to work out because it wasn't as simple as just monsters at the other end of the room just move forward and kill them.
I think the hardest thing was every time we moved and went to a different position, you're looking at the special rule of, wait, am I going to fall?
Yeah.
And that kind of messes with your head because it's flat against the ground. It's not, vertical. It's hard to visualize the falling thing. And make sure that you stick to it and remind yourself, because there were quite a few times, I'm going to move here. You're going to fall. Oh yeah, I'm going to go here. Yeah, I think he is fine. Oh, but I might get pushed, right? Just on this room, I'm going to throw in a little monster spotlight because I missed one last week of a spotlight. Oh no, it was focused on the kelp and how OP it was, and then we had this scenario which
Basically
wasn't OP at all. Algok Snowspeaker, guys. We haven't actually seen these guys.
What if the kelp was a boss?
I'd just use Retaliate. I'd be dead.
Yeah, true. But if it had 120 life, it doesn't really care, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, don't say stuff like that. It's horrible. Mark's our friend. Mark's our friend.
Sorry, Monster Spotlight.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Algok Snowspeaker. I think that we haven't fought the Algoks in a long time. Oh, okay. I think we have, but not like the special Algoks, the special lieutenant units like the Ice Speaker and the Snow Speaker. And I know based on loosely what they did based on the pushes and all that kind of stuff, but I think it was a bit of a rude awakening to go in there and be like, okay, cool. So HP wise, normals have 12, elites have 15. So pretty healthy. They're pretty healthy. They're not like full guards or anything at 2021 or Earth Demons, but I mean, that's a lot. Their movement is 2 and 3. Their attack is 3 and 4, right? And the elite has an innate push, which is very annoying. And both have innate retaliate range 5, 1 and 2, which is quite unique, with the exception of that giant ass tree in Raven's Roost, which I think was at a range 10.
Something like that, yeah.
That's fairly gross. And actually, I'll ask you that a little bit later. I was going to ask you about, I'll just ask it later. The initiatives from them, and I'm not going through every card or anything like that, but they go to 6, and it goes all the way up to a 66, right? And obviously they've got elemental affinity with ice and wind, which was really cool for Snowflake. And you and I both like a bit of wind. The notable thing that I want to talk about is their their initiative 6 card, which is called Snowstorm. All right. All enemies within range 3 suffer 2 damage, which we didn't see this time, but I remember it because of that pillar one that we did. I think it was 115. All enemies within range 3 suffer 2 damage and then push 2, targeting everything within range 3. And then it creates 2 of those elements that it needs. That's also a reset card. And it goes at a 6. This card and this mob, because we don't rate them as highly as some of the other stuff that we have encountered in the past with their reset card shenanigans. If we had that and they played that like 3, 4 times in a row, would we suddenly be like, would that episode back then be completely different? And will we be putting these guys at the top of our lists?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is one of those monsters that you can RNG into them just ruining the scenario.
Like
if they drew that 3 times in a row, even not just in this scenario specifically, but if there's 1 or 2 of these on the board and they draw that 2 or 3 times in a row, like it's just going to be really annoying.
It's like Shriek Fiends or Shrike Fiends.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so super annoying. And obviously, I mean, that push at a range 3 targeting everything is just, and then when you are actually hitting them, you've got to deal with retaliate, right? All they need is a shield or 2. Hopefully they buff them and give them, one of those things. They've also kind of got 2 cards that do immobilize, which is also adding to, I mean, I think the kit is very cool. Yeah. I haven't looked into it properly, but a bunch of attacks here and there, but they've got 2 different ways of immobilizing. One of them is a range 6 targeting all. Like, I can see how some groups absolutely get destroyed by these people.
Yeah. They remind me a little bit of the priests. Not so much in that their abilities are the same, like similar, but they just feel like they've got a similar kit to that. Like some damage, but just a lot of I'll say utility, but like a variety of annoying status effects that just really make your turn not be what you wanted it to be,
Yeah.
right? And that's through the immobilizers or the pushers are probably the main ones, the way that they do it, whereas the priests do it through immobilize and disarm, and then the heal can come at a really bad time, like that kind
Yes.
of stuff. So yeah, they just remind me a little bit of the priests.
Yeah. I'm thinking about them a little bit more because of the scenario we did. I got immobilized quite a few times and got pushed around a lot, especially in some of the later rooms that came up. And I was just like, oh wow, these guys are really annoying to deal with. The range 5 retaliate, like if you're not hitting really hard, and you're hitting multiple times, even for little, range 3, attack 2 or something like that, it's really not worth it. I think that these guys are actually fairly problematic. And the fact that we only had 2 of these in this room was more than enough because, I mean, it's not like we destroyed them. They were up for a fair bit. I did cop a lot. I had to long rest after this room because I didn't take a lot of damage in the first one. Mind you, I think I fell twice. I think I took 2 instances of the pure damage for falling. But yeah, the retaliate was just booking me because I don't hit overly hard. And I don't know how Mark got through it. I think he was
Invisible.
sort of booking himself as well.
He
So
was
yeah,
invisible.
I guess, yeah, general strategy with these things is probably hit really hard. Don't make ice because ice seems to make it seems wind is good because it usually buffs their push and all that kind of stuff, so you don't care as much, right? But their ice gives a +2 to one of their attacks, making it an attack 7, which is fairly gross.
Yeah, I think they're just that monster that needs something else going on around them. Otherwise, even with the retaliate, well, it can be high and they can be a bit hard to deal with. If there isn't other stuff there, and whether that's monsters or scenario effects, I think they can be difficult and they can pump some damage. But I don't ever think they ever like super threaten you. But like if there's a couple of other things that you need to deal with first, like archers or other things that get in your way, I think, and these guys just sit there doing their thing, then it can really be annoying.
Yeah.
Because you're right, because you can't with earth demons or other things that have heaps of health, you can just throw a little attack on them occasionally and it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Because then you whittle them down a bit and you're like, oh, well, it's got 12 health. We'll kill it in 3 or 4 hits while we're killing other things. Or I'll do an AoE attack, right? And I'll hit it as well as something else and I'll just whittle it down a bit. But you're right, with the retaliate, you can't do that. So you've got to choose to kill it or not kill it. And if you're not killing it, it's probably making your life pretty shit, right? And if you do kill it, then you go like, well, I have to focus on it. I'm going to take a bunch of damage back. So you do have to hit it hard. And so it does kind of put you in a weird decision point.
Yeah. Do you think they're well designed?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
Like,
that I think they're probably better designed than the ice speakers, even though I fear the ice speakers more because they hit like trucks, but they're a little bit more like big numbers and double hits and things like that. These guys, you actually have to probably plan a little bit around how you're going to take them on, because if you're going to do a whole bunch of little kind of tiny attacks, you kind of like you're going to want a Bane, you're going to want to maybe utilize push and pull through hazardous terrain and things like that to deal with, and also traps, right? You need to sort of maximize how much not direct damage you can actually deal to them.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. I think for what they're trying to do and your kind of description of they're kind of like the lieutenant for the Algox, I think they are. Are they Algox? Yeah. They work really well in that role. They work really well in a kind of bossy, supporty kind of role.
I think it's fair to say we haven't seen a lot of them, even though the meeting place is the only one that and the pillar one.
Pillars. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember where we ranked them on our 2 tier lists?
I'm gonna say they were, what's the middle?
Oh, just like give me a number, like 1 to 5.
Like 3?
Yeah. Look, we put them initially in our first year tier list at fairly meh, which was 4, right? Second last, and then we promoted them to 3, which is not bad. Kind of, par for the course. Would that change now? Have they done enough to warrant a rank up?
I don't think so. Like, it's on potential, yeah, but I think based on our experience, which we tried to do the list by, right?
Yes.
Like, again, we haven't experienced them being really, really bad, right? We've experienced them being kind of annoying, which I think is about what the middle rating feels like. I can definitely see them being really shit. But again, we just haven't got there.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's the same with a lot of the monsters. Like Living Dooms, we've talked about this, right? Like Living Dooms, they are so meh. They don't do anything. I can see them being really, really hard to deal with, right? But
Yeah.
we just have never had an issue dealing with them. So for us, I haven't felt like we've got there.
Yeah. Whereas we sit
but
here
yeah.
and crap on about wave throwers, and everyone else is like, really? They're not
What are
that
you
bad?"
talking about? They are just in the bin, right? Yes, exactly. And archers, people are probably like, no, whatever. Although I think from when the Reddit had the monster spotlight on archers, I think everyone was pretty unanimous of like
Unanimously?
these guys are OP as, yeah.
While I was researching this, just a little spotlight. Cephalofair Games website actually has just a page. It's called like Monster Spoilers from Frosthaven and Gloomhaven, and it actually has each standee, how many standees are in that mob group, and also the difficulty. And they put these guys at a difficulty 2. Now I don't know what their ranking system is. They said this
What's
is at
the
a difficulty
scale?
2. Well, for comparison, Algox Archers are 1.5.
So is it 1 to 5?
I don't know. I only
Okay.
really remember seeing one. I'll have to relook at it again to see if there's any other options other than 1.5 and 2.
Okay. How about I won't look at that at all.
Yeah.
And the next episode,
We'll test
do a
you.
quiz.
Yeah.
Tell me what the scale is, because otherwise I'm going to pick
I'll
6.
do my
and you're like,
best.
what only goes up to 3?
I'll do my best. And PM me, anyone, if you want to help me with this task of how best to, present this and do a scale and all that kind of stuff. If you have any ideas around this, and yeah, we'll put guys on the spot. Yeah. And I think that'll be fun. Just on that note, really, if you want ever me to throw a question at Gaz that he's not prepared for, just PM me and I'll find a way to fit them into the show.
Yeah. And just in case it wasn't completely obvious by how the episodes run, I'm mostly unaware of all of the things that Daddy's going to bring up. So it will be the standard way I find out about things. But they can come from other ways, right?
Yeah. Anyway, we dispatched the Algox and you may continue.
So then we got into a position where we need to go into the arms. So
there's a rule for this room, by the way. Yeah, that says there's a doorway that looks like, the way this is set up is looking a little bit like a person or a robot,
like a giant robot.
Yeah, which is really cool. The door that looks like where the head belongs is locked, and it needs 2 pressure plates, which we can only assume are in the arms. So before we can open the door, but yes, carry on.
And so we opened both of the arms pretty much around the same time, like within a turn of each other. And at this stage, we kind of had you going like, I'm a bit low on cards. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Mark wasn't feeling super confident either. He had cards, but he didn't have the like, oh yeah, that's fine, let's do it. Because it wasn't a just kill all, right? Like, it's a get to the core and we have to sound on these pressure plates. And the arms were quite long. So we're kind of looking at it going like, well, how do we do this? And I've got a decent amount of movement, and the Shards has a card that gives everyone else movement. If I have my resonance quite high, I can give people near me like a chunk of movement. So we kind of went with this strategy of we can probably get to the ends and then just run. Because in each of the arms, there was 2 cannons and 2 snow speakers.
Which is a lot. Like,
yeah, more than has been in like the whole other thing, right? Like, there was 2 cannons in the first room, 2 snow speakers in the second room, and now there's like both of those in each of the arms.
And our normal way of dealing with any situation that's similar to this is, that's okay, we'll just clear it, right? We've got the damage for it most times. We burn everything. Like, this almost looks like, oh, we've been waiting for a bit of a challenge like this. This looked like it wasn't possible.
No. And you've just kind of talked through the retaliate, and our main damage source wants to hit everything for a really little amount lots of times. Okay, so he would have just insta-gibbed himself. I didn't really have the damage to deal with them. You were kind of like, I'm running low on cards. Like, I can't fight 2 rooms and then also still make it into the last room. So we had a really interesting situation. Mark was pretty sure he could get to one of the pressure plates and then teleport through the wall into the main room, right? The problem with that plan was it needed that pressure plate to be the second one that was opened and then you to go in and open the door. So there's a weird timing issue with that working. I actually managed to loot an item in my last scenario randomly, which I haven't replaced because I don't have the materials to get what I want.
Did this come from the loot deck as well? Not like it wasn't a guarantee from the scenario loot treasure. I wonder if whether or not it was pure chance that you pulled this.
I feel it might be. I feel it might be a random item. I don't know if it was specifically tied because the last scenario
I'm
we
pretty sure it
did
was an item. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I had the item, and what it does. Should I? Can I spoil
Yeah.
it?
Go for it.
Yeah. So it's a magnetic cloak. Because basically, like it, you use it and you can teleport 20 spaces, 20 hexes, as long as you end that movement of teleport next to an ally. Now 20 is heaps. I counted because I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to. No, it's not. It's 20 is as much as you want, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It should just say unlimited. But what that meant was that I could run down one leg of the arm, one end of the arm. Mark went down the other one, and then even if he wasn't going to be able to teleport through, he could kind of run back and go invisible because he has a lot of that. And then I could just teleport back to you in the middle.
Yep.
So we kind of went like, we can probably skip both like all the monsters in these two arms.
Yep.
Now you went in and did a bit of tanking to make sure that Mark didn't get focused and did a little bit and then kind of pull back out. And we all managed to get the 2 pressure plates down and then meet back in the middle and get into the last room.
Yeah. I got absolutely smashed. And the worst part is, like, at the time, I don't know if you were aware of this, I pulled my initiative card first. So I was going first when we were traveling down the arm. And I didn't have to go in there because I could see that cannons were firing and snow speakers were attacking, but neither of them were going to reach me. So I could have just stayed back in the torso of the thing. And I went into the arm anyway because I was like, well, I don't want to waste my turn. At least I'm going to go in there and get my ass kicked. So I did. I didn't need to. I went in and in my head, I was like, I'm taking the aggro from Mark. I'm protecting him. No, because they were all going before him. He always goes late. So anyway, yes, you're right. I went in there to tank for no reason whatsoever. And I actually got pushed out of the room anyway, so it didn't make much of a difference. I ended up where I needed to be with a lot less health. And then, yeah, you're right. Mark went over and pushed the button as you press the other one. And hey, it was such a good plan. It was actually really good because when we opened those doors, I was looking at my cards, I legit was like, I don't know if we got this.
No, I was looking at going like, yeah, okay, we may as well just hammer this out for the next 10 minutes and see, and then we can restart.
Yeah. Because I didn't have any damage cards. I barely took any. I had like 2 or 3 attacks, and one of them I burnt fairly early just from short resting. And I was like, it's okay. We've got a kelp. Is what I kept saying to myself.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's because it's okay. Don't worry about it. I don't need to do damage. I'm looking at my cards going like, I can pump a bit of damage out of this, but it takes a couple of turns to set up. But it doesn't matter because we've got a kelp.
Maybe the kelp just doesn't work as effectively without Phil. Like Phil's the true heart of the group, of the DPS portion of the group.
Maybe.
Because this was his time to shine, right? This was the kelp time to shine.
It was it was a rough scenario for the kelp to shine, especially when you can't attack for the first 3 rounds, and then you're the rest of your monsters that you see, like the next 6 monsters that we placed, right, were all snow speakers that have retaliate 2 or 3, right?
Yeah,
so. Like, it's not really
hang on.
kelp's time to shine.
I just said one of the best ways of dealing with these guys is through pure damage that you're not using attacks. Kelp can bane stuff. Like, he's got the perfect... He could just bane everything, right? That's how that works.
That's how that works. Yeah. If you choose those cards, that's how it works, right? So, yeah, anyway, so we opened up the arms. We got the pressure plates. We opened up the head, and we opened it up. And what did we find?
Oh, we found the answer to my PQ. Which was 1 Ice Wraith, also known as the Power Core, which I then checked later on, and it was like, no, this counts towards your PQ. But at the time, I was like, and I can't remember. One of you at the table was like, it's not an Ice Wraith. The X-Haven says it's a Power Core, and I'm like, what an annoying waste. Such a letdown. And it's the only one there. And also, I'm like 1 turn away from exhausting. Like, I just don't have enough cards. So I literally just spend 1 round tanking a couple of hits from him. I don't even think I got a hit off, and then I exhaust.
Yeah, you did hit him. You hit him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I jumped over and got the treasure. We killed the guy because he only had 15 health, and the kelp does a bazillion damage, and we won.
Yeah, we did.
Which is good because it's not a scenario that I would want to replay. I
agree.
even that night, I wouldn't have wanted to do it again because it was interesting to know about, but I don't think it was fun enough to play multiple times.
Yes, and I think that would come down to probably more than anything the special rules around the stable and unstable. If it was a kill all, maybe it wouldn't be as bad.
Well, I think if you're going to replay something, a kill all is more fun because you're doing more of your cards, right? Like you're getting to see how do I make my cards and my synergy, my character like shine? How can I eke out now that I know the layout and the monsters? What can I plan for?
Yeah.
But this one wasn't big on monsters. This was big on moving and positioning and stuff like that. So
Yes. And then yeah, we did it. So just as the Titan was approaching Frosthaven, we destroy the power core and the whole thing, collapses. And the whole town saw this. They're within, they can see what's going on. And how do they reward us?
I don't think they did.
I don't know, they did.
Did they?
So our rewards was 1 morale, aka a pat on the back, and 1 inspiration. Which
that's right.
We already had this chat about inspiration. Yeah.
Not 100 metal because we've just downed this giant robot, like literally outside. We even waited till it got next to Frosthaven so they wouldn't have to walk very far, right? But no metal.
No, none at all.
Metal.
What were your thoughts on scenario 123?
It was a really cool idea. I didn't mind that it forced us to do it from the road event, and almost I would say 80% of our campaign, it wouldn't have made any difference because we've been picking our scenarios at basically a random anyway of like, oh, let's go to this one, right?
Yeah.
So I don't mind about that. I think it's kind of cool. I just think that it wasn't that fun to play. Like, this is another one of those ones that's tricky because I think the idea is really cool and it was cool for the first few rounds of going along, but then it just got to a part where it was just kind of like, eh. And I mean, and I don't know how much of that's on the scenario. I don't know if it's on the players the characters we had. We had 3 people. I don't know if it's a character I was on. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. I'm wondering how much of it is the execution, and by that I mean ours. Because this one felt tough. And your idea was amazing. And when that kind of came together, like, because before that even happened, I was like, we are losing this. And then, we came up with a plan. I think that was cool. We're backs against the wall. We're not too sure how to get out of this. We come together, put our heads together and go, well, you can do this. I can do that. How confident are you? I don't know what your character does, but you can look at your cards. You have an idea of how many you've got left and what you have available to you. And you can confidently say, yeah, I think I can get it. That I enjoyed. I loved all of that because there's nothing worse than seeing some of the cool mechanics that we've been getting in some of the previous scenarios, only for it to be a cakewalk because we've just annihilated everything. This was quite literally like the opposite. We killed the first 4 things, the 2 cannons in the first room, and then the 2 snow speakers. All the mobs in the arms we left alive, and then in a way, we can talk about cheesing, but that wasn't cheesing at all. But yeah, I think. I'm wondering how much of it is the execution of what we did. And if, I don't know, would it be different if Phil was there? Will we have cleared the arms? Because he would have been so knee deep in an arm that we would have had to go and rescue him, right? And help him clear it all. And would that have made things, I don't know, feel it differently?
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting. Yeah. So I don't know. I'd give it thumbs up for design. I think you called it at the start, like the fact that they managed to do something like this to make it feel like a platformer, the different experience, like a different feeling of a scenario.
Yeah.
Without making it feel like I wasn't still playing my character, I think is a really clever and underrated, I think, design skill for when we put all of these scenarios up against each other.
Yes.
Because I think it's very easy to come up with a bunch of rules that change the scenario, but that also changes your character. This one was like, no, your character is still exactly the same. You can still do all of your normal tricks, right? But you need to plan around a few things that are happening, like where you're going to be and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's the balance of what I want in a let's mix things up.
Yeah. Well said.
So,
yeah, overall, this scenario is one of the harder ones for me to judge that I've had in the past. So the best way I will summarize it is intriguingly meh. Because it's not going to appear in any of my lists. But I thought the design was like, it's really cool. The enemies are cool. There's so much cool about this. I just don't know what it was. That's why I'm saying it could be our experience in it, and that's it. And there's nothing actually wrong with it.
If we did a list, because we've done best and worst, and we'll do that again. And I feel like we probably need to come up with a couple of other different lists that aren't best or worst, so we can
I think that'd be
explore
easy.
things like this, like maybe most interesting design, like that kind of thing, like ones that were stuff like that. And I definitely feel like this will be an honorable mention in one of my lists for the design, because again, I think it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, like top 10 scenarios with one ice wraith in it and things like that.
Exactly.
So there was the other
Top
one.
10.
It's up against the other one. The PQ, the Snowflake PQ, where there's that one ice wraith in the back room with the
end.
See,
Yeah.
there's two right there.
Yeah, top 10 scenarios that bait Deddy into bringing his axe into a scenario.
I hate my PQ. I'm trying to like my PQ. I hate it. So this also brings me to Mark's trial. So Mark finished his trial. This is the third trial that we have finished.
All right, so do we have to call spoilers here for people that don't want to know about the trials?
Yeah.
Like play some music?
Yeah, kind of. Sure.
We could just sing some elevator music?
Elevator music, yeah. Elevator. I'm trying to think, what's the song I literally just had in my head? Roller Coaster. Red Hot Chili. Yeah. So Mark had his trial, and this is the third trial that we completed. Trial of strategy. So at the start of each scenario, do not discard any battle goals. If you draw 2 mutually exclusive battle goals, discard 1 and draw a replacement. You have passed this trial when you complete a scenario and achieve all battle goals you were dealt. This, on paper anyway, now that I knew what he was trying to do, surely this is the hardest one from the starting 4.
I don't know what yours is.
I'm telling you right now, this is harder than mine.
Okay, then yeah, sure.
And everyone at home now knows what they should have known what mine was anyway. But this is that is rough. And he had that last week, and there was it was weird, right? Which is why his battle goals were prepper, which is perform no attacks in the first 3 rounds. Accountant, have 0 cards in your hand each time you rest. Like, these are several things you have to be thinking about throughout the whole scenario. And then Egoist, which is collect more loot tokens than any other character, that's a lucky one that he had a little bit more control over just by yelling at us. But for a trial, man, that's rough.
Yeah, I think the only thing that makes that okay and not as this is really bad. Like, yes, it's tough, right? Like, it's probably the hardest out of the ones we've seen. Is there's no negative, so you can just not do it, and not do it as in I just choose not to interact with this mechanic, right? But you can just fail it again and again because you just get really hard battle goals, and that you're not losing something, right? Like, if it's add 5 curses into your deck, right, then do all these battle goals, then you'd be like, this is rough because it's making my game shitter. Whereas you kind of have the ability to keep cycling, and most people play the game properly and don't remove all the battle goals that you complete. So that also, which just so that everyone knows, we did put everything back in and play with a proper full deck, because there are some really easy ones in there, and when someone has to complete a bunch of them, that I felt that was important.
Yeah.
So we did do that. But yeah, it is definitely, from the ones I've seen, it's harder. I mean, mine was take damage when something happened, and Phil's was be less effective. I mean, can you imagine Phil needing to do, with Phil's one, needing to have something like that, but then needing to achieve this other thing? Then you'd feel like this is shit, right? Yeah, because you're having a shit time. So yeah, it's interesting. It's probably the hardest one to complete, but I think it's also the least impactful on your game.
Have you, now that you've seen 3, what are your thoughts on the trials?
Yeah, it's cool. I just don't know what we're doing. Because I don't know why we're doing it. Pardon?
Completing trials.
Yeah, completing trials. Yeah, that's it. I just for the record as well, I completely forgot about mine. And so I looked at it, and I think it was the end of the scenario. when we finished, and I looked at my new one that I got, which is the second one I had. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I've got this thing.
That's right. I've actually forgotten you draw a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't even attempt mine, and mine isn't a bad thing. Happens when stuff happens, so it didn't matter that I didn't remember it. I can just do it next week. But or try to do it next week because it is going to be rough. But yeah, I think it's fine. I just don't know why we're doing it.
It's something fun. It's a new thing. There's
I
no
know.
race to getting them done, which is why, if it takes a couple of weeks to get it done, I like the challenge deck, I think, because it was so big. I mean, this deck is tiny. So I think maybe it doesn't have to be banged out super fast, or maybe the specific ordering of the cards will make that choice for us as they get harder and harder as thing goes by.
I think the only problem that I'm seeing with it so far. So yeah, I love the randomness. I love the secrecy. I love the way that it's changing. Like even just from the 3 that we've seen, they've been drastically different, right?
Well,
Like
you wait
just
till you see
completely.
mine.
Pardon?
You wait till you see mine.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Like I'm really excited to see yours. Like I feel like this is a like the old PQs. Like because I haven't. Again, it's we've unlocked all the classes. We've obviously got some more scenarios to unlock and do, which is going to be surprising. I don't really care about the items. So this seems like it's the last bastion of like a kind of discovery.
I can't wait to talk about mine.
Yeah, well, so I'm really excited to see your trial. I'm just a little bit wary if we get some that are like Phil's, that it's kind of like writing off a scenario. Like that's the
For
part
that
that I'm kind of
person.
like, oh, I hope we don't get too many that just make it be a bad time.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Because we don't play all the time, right? So, you don't want to go like, oh, well, this scenario is a write-off because like
It's a really good point because literally yours and Mark's were both fairly manageable. Like yours definitely more so because you could just tell people, oh, can you not loot too much, right? I've got reasons. Could be a battle goal, could be whatever, right? Or just to prep you for it, making sure you're bracing for when people just go, oh, no. Phil's is literally like have a bad time.
have a bad time.
Yeah, like even the 3 battle goals is kind of like, oh, okay, this is tough. It's a puzzle. How can I get through this? Like, I'd enjoy that. I think it'd be potentially frustrating, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I can't see an upside that feels at all. Like, there's no challenge in it.
No. That's where, that's just making your character crapper. I think the challenge might be there's certain classes. The Drifter was a really, really tough one to get that on because literally all you're doing is attacking stuff. Whereas I can see there being some of the classes we've gone through where you would go, okay, I'm going to change up what I'm doing, right? Like I'm going to go, I mean, for example, I don't know, if you had it on the snowflake, you could go, I'm going hard support for this one, right? Because there's no point in me drawing cards. I may as well just be moving things around and supporting and maybe lean into some of those things. And there's, other characters we've seen that have had the ability to do more supporty stuff, more status stuff. So
maybe that's what we haven't seen yet is support Drifter because there are a couple of heals in there. So, and I think there's continuous health, which is the +2 to healing. So support Drifter might be a thing.
Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah, maybe that's kind of how you do that. Like even with the Drifter, you play it more.
Oh, but Phil doesn't change his cards. Here I am for 5-10 minutes. And I've even said to him before across the table, I'm like, you know which scenario we're doing. It wasn't this one or one previously. It was definitely in the past. And I said, do you need to change your deck at all? He's like, no, all good. I was like, oh, okay, he's sorted. Just quickly, Mark's comments on the scenario that just happened. It was a bit different. It was a bit quirky, very cinematic and immersive. Great enemy choice to challenge players in their ascension and gave some old school platforming vibes. My enjoyment was stifled by my trial and a battle goal. Being the DPS in this scenario and not being able to attack for the first 3 rounds put us behind the 8 ball. I've never understood the bloat argument before, as we normally have 1 to 2 additional things going on, but felt it a little in this one. Trial plus challenges plus BG plus special rules, even though very manageable. The scenario itself was cool though. Give me a review of what Phil would have said.
If Phil was there, he would have said, hated it.
Yeah. It would have been that. It would have been forgot they had retaliate several times. Had to be reminded because I
You
feel
gotta get it down to 2 or 3 words.
Oh yeah,
That's what I mean. It's just
I hate
summarizes like
retaliate.
in the bin. Yeah.
How would Omi go? He's dead.
He falls, right?
Yeah, but he'd do AI movement, so he'd probably
Not fall?
either he gets
I
stuck
said
because he
monsters.
can't end his turn in a unstable because he'll avoid it, or he will anyway because he's he wants to complete his movement, but because even if there's a negative hex to get to where you want, AI still go through it. They will avoid it until they can't. So he technically will probably still try to climb. There might be a system in place because of pets as well, who only move 2, like skeletons and all that kind of stuff. So there might be something there. I just know he'll get stuck in one of the armpits and die. Especially
Yeah,
because we didn't clear it.
I feel like this one isn't terrible for him because there isn't many monsters and there wasn't much stuff around that can kill him. But at the same point, the snow speakers probably tear him up as soon as he gets in that room. So
they will. Just very quickly, the last few things, and we will get through these really fast. Outpost phase. Joseph the Lion returns. Something about ice cream. I have no idea what that's about. I really don't have a clue what that's about.
Well, and we even read the previously on, and we still had no idea what it was about.
I'm wondering.
You need to go back further. You need to go. You need to go deeper, dwarf.
Well, that's what you said about the trial thing, right? It's kind of like we need previously on for every mechanic in the game when it's introduced to us and why. So so you can flesh out the trial place and understand what's going on there.
Yeah.
This is the second week in a row we've had vermlings camped outside the front of our town, and they want food, and we keep going no, and they're like, okay, we'll attack you. It's like, oh damn it. We've done this twice now.
What did they want this time?
Food?
Other than food. Well, what did the event? What did this scenario, the event card want that we didn't have?
I don't have the card on me.
Starts with a H, ends with a Uman.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like I've given Gaz a lot of crap for the Banisphere because the Banisphere is human, and what's the special power of humans?
Yeah,
apparently feeding and dealing with vermlings. Apparently,
yeah,
we would be okay. And there's only one human character.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty rough.
And I'm pretty sure the event's fairly late-ish, maybe. I'd have to check the number. I don't have it on me. But, like, no one's got a Banisphere this late into the game, apart from all of the people that keep telling me it's their favorite character, and they've played it 4 times.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe they knew that the Banisphere was going to get played 4 times every campaign. Or they're accommodating for people bringing in Gloomhaven classes, because there's a couple of humans in there.
That's true. So the vermlings, we didn't do what they wanted, and apparently we write the same section number into the next week. So we'll see them again next week, which is great. I wonder how long we can keep this up until we get a human. No, it looks like we're losing our food at some stage. Lastly, guys, very quickly, your 2 scenarios in now. What are your initial thoughts with the shards?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to try and work out. I'm trying to support more, but it seems tricky because it's like supporting in other ways. I want to get the use of the monster deck thing more, where I get to peek at the card.
That's been very cool.
I got a couple of perks which make it a bit easier to, start me off with a bit more resonance, which means I can do some cool stuff earlier. So far the 2 scenarios I've done have been a bit weird. Like I did that one, which basically barely had any monsters and it was kind of moving around. And then the other one I did was the pillar one in the mine thing, which again was a little bit weird. Yeah. So, but so far so good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge, I think?
Are
you generating tokens consistently enough?
I think so. I think I need to make sure I've got the right balance between like spenders. I think the biggest challenge actually has been matching up the elements, because I've been able to produce a bunch. Like I think I went through after I chose my cards with this and went like, oh wow, I can produce, maybe it was light or wind. It was one of the 2. I can produce that a bit. And then I went through and like, oh, I don't have anything to spend it on. I think it might have been light. I think I could produce light from like 2 or 3 cards. And I was just like, I don't have any spenders here.
In the unboxing, we found like, I think 2 spenders. And you obviously didn't bring either.
No, that's right. I know one of them's the bottom move disarm, I think it is, which I didn't bring because I wanted something else. And I think another one is spend it to give yourself advantage in a range attack, which I was just like, I don't think. So yeah, I don't know. I need to have a look at the elements again and just go, is this even something I care about, or is this another Banosphere situation?
That sounds
Where I'm
like early Astral, really, with the elements and just going, cool. I've now discovered from the first scenario that I need Earth generators, and I didn't bring any.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah, it's cool.
Except that I think I've worked out I don't need any spenders, which means I don't need any generators. So
I need your generators.
yeah, I know you need them. Yeah, so they're not going away, but I need to play around with it and have a look. So.
Do you think the shards would work well as a starter?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty basic. Like from a I guess internalizing what you're doing and going.
Yeah. Not too much power creep either. Like doesn't feel too busted compared to the starters.
Nah, I think if I was playing this as DPS, I could be doing a lot of damage already.
Yeah, okay.
I think it has the capacity. I mean, one of the cards is spend X tokens to do an attack X. I think it's X+1 at range X, right? Like that can be a fair bit. And I think there's a couple of big attack cards that aren't burns. So yeah, I think you could lean into damage and do a fair chunk of damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay so far.
Yeah. Oh, I love your work.
Thank you. Even though you don't know what to do.
No idea. Play music and vibrate. So lastly, it's a very big cock up, and I've only just remembered it just now. So I think you were looking through items of what you wanted to buy, and you were like, "Oh, cloak of many pockets," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, no. mate. I've tried to make that, but we're missing the first bit." I said the cloak of pockets, not the cloak of many pockets. We're missing this, and there's a couple of items we're missing, and I don't know how to get them and all of that. So Gaz did some sleuthing and went back into the section book and from the actual building, the earlier levels of the trade shop, and we discovered that we missed, and by we probably me, missed putting in a bunch of basic items like the crude helm or something, just like the spyglass.
Like three buildings worth, right?
I think like 3 buildings worth of items, which included the cloak of many pockets, which I was hoping to make on my shackles and all of that. So yeah, we got to this stage and we're unlocking some real basic gear, which is really cool, really exciting, and it's just opening our mind to the possibilities of now making some of these higher tier items.
I like to think in the lore we upgraded the craftsman. We're like, yeah, let's upgrade this, let's upgrade that. And Zane came over to start telling us about all the cool shit that he can buy now. We just like ignored him and walked off.
Yeah.
He's like, and then we just walked in there and gone like, you know what? I'd really love to make this cloak of many pockets, but unfortunately I don't have a cloak of pockets. And he's like, hey, over here, I do. And we're like, wait, why didn't you say something?
Yeah.
So.
It's awkward. But look, hard mode.
Hard mode. Right. Yep.
Well, because this session didn't go the way I had wanted it, I'll just reuse the outro from last week. So, we better wrap it up there. Keep rolling shit. Join us next week as we go Pokemon hunting to complete our Pokedex or work on my excellent PQ. We'll see you all at episode 73. I've been your host, Eddie. I've been joined again by Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.